Hi pet lovers, thank you for joining Gina's Grooming. Today we're going to be doing another walkthrough. A walkthrough is basically where I take you through a certain process in grooming that's a little more extreme than normal so you can see what I'm doing and look over my shoulder. Today's episode is going to be on removing extreme buildup mouth crust edition. Now, extreme buildup can occur in a few common places on dogs. Namely, you'll see buildup occurring in front of the eyes. You'll also see buildup occurring on the rear end, which is very, very dangerous. And in the case that we're going to be talking today, you'll see buildup occurring around the mouth. Now, before I introduce you to Rufus, our model who is going to show you how to remove extreme mouth crust, extreme buildup around the mouth, I do want to tell you guys that there's a big moral to this story. And that moral is I have never met buildup that I have not been able to conquer using time, using patience, using the right technique, and using the right product. Now, that being said, I'm going to take a second, introduce you to Rufus before we actually go through the process and tell you guys that when I saw Rufus's mouth crust, his extreme mouth buildup, I thought this was over my head. I thought this was going to have to be a veterinary referral. But once I started working on Rufus and looking at that buildup, it definitely fell very squarely in the wheelhouse of grooming. And again, that time, that patience, that right technique, and the right product. So let's pause here for a second and talk about generally what happened to Rufus and why we're seeing these mouth crusts. So Rufus has been coming to see me as a grooming client for a few years, and this is a new development. So he's never had this accumulation of buildup before, just started happening a few months ago. So I just want to explain that when dogs age, sometimes their dentition can change. Sometimes it becomes a little more painful to chew, and they don't do as good a job as they should to chew their food and get it down their gullet. And this appears like what is happening to Rufus right now is that this is where drool pools in the anatomy of the dog's bottom lip. You'll see this on white colored dogs where you'll see a stripe of black or discoloration. So it's a very common place where dogs drool on that bottom lip. But because there is food attached to this drool that hasn't been chewed, it's kind of setting up a base, a foundation that other buildup can build upon. Okay, so now once that plateau is done, now that buildup can happen really, really fast. So just want you guys to know that as your dogs age, or if you're working with aging dogs, things can change, so keep an eye out. And with no fault of the owners, no fault to anybody, a new development occurred for Rufus, so we have to take some extra steps to make sure that he stays happy and healthy. So let's get back to Rufus. I'm going to go through the process and also talk to you guys about some of the considerations. And as you can see, I got him into the tub and immediately am soaking the face. I want to go get warm water on his face. I want to get face wash. So I'm using approved tearless face wash. Obviously, I still don't want to get it in his eyes, but I want to break down that buildup. Okay, that's food, that's saliva, that's gunk. And what it's doing is because it's hanging and it's sitting, it's very close to the skin. We can't clipper, we can't scissor in that area. Think of it as a bad scab. So where scabs sit on skin and protect it so that it heals, you have the opposite effect here with this mouth buildup, because all of this buildup is actually preventing the skin from breathing and being healthy. And what you'll often see after removing buildup, either from the eyes, from the mouth, even from the rear end, is that the skin underneath can be raw, it can be sore, because that skin didn't get a chance to breathe and it's been kept moist, right? Anywhere that buildup is. So just want to really talk about how important it is to get it off. Now, this process took me about 30 minutes. I'm now using a warm washcloth to soak. And one of the main points I also want to make right now while I'm showing you how I'm removing this is that I'm bouncing back and forth for my tasks. So you saw me soap up and wash the face first. I let that sit, and then I go and shampoo the body. I also don't want Rufus cold. I don't want him shivering at all. So I kind of want to keep going back, doing the tasks that keep me propelled going and through the grooming process, but then coming back to the face and keep rolling through all of that gunk gently. And this is kind of painful for Rufus. So I'm trying my best to stay patient with him, going little bit by bit, then taking that water soaking it through and trying to remove chunk by chunk. I'm about to get a big chunk here. I do remember that. It's very, very satisfying. Once you start getting one chunk, kind of go back and get another chunk. And again, guys, I'm bouncing back and forth. So washing, then going back to the face, then coming back, rinsing, going back to the face, then going back, conditioning the body, going back to the face. This way, Rufus also gets breaks, and we're using that time for that product to kind of sit on that face. It definitely makes a huge difference, and you can see I'm kind of getting to the end. Again, this took about 30 minutes. This is an abridged version, but I didn't want to make it too short because I didn't want you guys to think that this is an easy process. Definitely takes time, and definitely not something that you can put scissors toward or a clip or two, because again, it's like a scab bonded to the skin. Now, I know this was a little rough on Rufus. This took some time, but I will tell you that once I was done and all of that mouth gunk was off, he was snuffling in that towel. He was snuggling. He was so happy to be free of those dangling weights. Let's take a look at how his lip looks now. See that redness, guys? That's where that buildup was. So we want to make sure that that doesn't happen. Again, this is something that as groomers, we seeing a dog once every 4, every 6, or every 8 weeks are not going to be able to conquer on our own. When you have something accumulating like this is something that is a partnership with the owner, with the client, because after every meal, Rufus needs to get his mouth wiped so that that buildup does not reoccur and accumulate. Well, all right, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this walkthrough of removing extreme buildup, mouth crust edition. We hope this helps you if you encounter the situation either professionally or personally with your pet at home. And we really appreciate your time. Guys, if you like this video, thanks for that thumbs up. Thank you for subscribing if you haven't done so already. Thanks so much for checking in on Gino's Grooming channel. We appreciate you. Thanks. Bye.